Welcome guys and girls to the early access for Inquisitor Martin. My name's Erzik Hydra and I'll be doing a video today for you showing you a little recap over the past 6 months what has changed within Inquisitor Martin. Now the reason for me doing this is very simple. There seems to be some very healthy skepticism at the moment about the actual progress of Martyr. There seems to be a few assumptions that what we've currently got is the final product, or what we've currently got is not going to change over the next few months. Guys and girls, let me reassure you that over the past few months the game has changed dramatically, and what I'd like to do is just take this opportunity to show you exactly what has changed, well, since we started playing. I think it was around 6 months ago now. God, time has gone quick. So strap yourselves in, buckle up, remember hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. There will be more guides and informative content coming at you very, very soon. So to kick things off, I think it's best to start with and compare the feedback I've personally given to the game in terms of video format, and what I can then do is relate that to how the game has changed, because I've tried to cover every sort of key and integral topic for the game since day one. Now this isn't to say my feedback has resulted in drastic changes in the game. There's been a lot of feedback given and I don't want to discredit anyone else that's written a post. It's just a little bit more convenient for me to relate things to the previous content I've done. So without any further ado, let's start with the most obvious changes that we've seen, and that is the old GUI. Now there's a reason I'll start with this. There was 4 things I pulled up with the GUI which I didn't like the look of. I tell you what, let's play a little bit of a game first. Let's look at these 4 GUIs, just pause it for a second and see if you can name all 4 of these games. Okay, so hopefully you guessed them right. Top one's Van Helsing, we have Inquisitor Martyr, and the bottom 2 include Path of Exile and Diablo 3. So the feedback I gave regarding Inquisitor Martyr's GUI was that, firstly, the effects looked very washed and grainy, very similar to the old Van Helsing style. It didn't really seem suited to a futuristic 40k appearance. The sort of grained, washed effect is a little bit more steampunk suited. But some of the more important features are that the armor ability, you can see on the right hand side, had a very, very washed out counter, and the lower it got, the less visible it got. As well as that, the numbers for the keys were very difficult to see, and the health bar itself was very small. It didn't catch your eye. It was hard to tell when you were going low. And lo and behold, within the latest patch, we've seen a UI overhaul. And I even had a personal message, which I was super grateful for, just saying that they'd looked at the points that I'd raised and they felt that they had covered all of them. So I was super appreciative of that. But you can see with the new GUI that the health bar is far more visible, the suppression is nice and visible, the clear keys are nicely laid out. We also have the armor ability very clear, you can see very nicely. This, I know for some of you might be thinking, well, this is a bit of a boring change. But for players, when you give feedback like this, it's so nice to see actual results from feedback given. And very similar to this, the old crafting system interface was also a little bit naff. You had to click from the left to the right to the left to the right in order to do any damn salvaging. It was a pain in the neck. Lo and behold, the next patch, that was changed. The UI was completely overhauled, and well, now crafting and salvaging is a much, much smoother experience. So guys, if you have any issues with stuff like this, I really want to try and motivate you to give that feedback. It will result in changes if you give a good sound reasoning and argument behind it. But moving on from that, we've seen some bigger changes too, and I don't want to take away from the hard work that the developers have done. In the words of Nelly Furtado, someone needed to turn off the lights because the old maps we used to play on were so bright and in your face. We were told at the time lighting effects were being quote-unquote worked on, but I even made a specific video titled "Where is Grimdark?" because there was no Grimdark like some of that earlier footage we saw in 2015, 2016, and lo and behold, in the following match, the lighting effects came into fruition, and now we have these wonderfully dark and grim settings, sometimes where you can barely see your freaking elbow in front of you. It is a very, very different world now within the game in terms of lighting settings. There's different variants for each map, and I have to say I think it actually looks pretty damn beautiful. Now on that note, in terms of graphical settings, you may have thought the beginning intro looked a little bit smoother than what's actually available within the game. I want to reassure you guys that anti-aliasing modes and types are still being worked on and in construction. I know because I've had this conversation with one of the staff members. They're still playing around with these things, so the graphic settings will probably be refined throughout the development, but obviously they need the data to be able to work on, and hey, that's what the actual early access is for, is to help their development. Moving on from this, another big issue we've had, and again a specific video I made, was that the maps were all goddamn corridor based, and it's so boring walking through a corridor. I mean, yes, some of the maps are really nice and the new corridor layouts are a vast improvement, but playing Diablo 3 Path of Exile, corridor maps are the least favourite, so I said to them, please, can we get some wide open expanses? And you know what happened soon after? And obviously this was probably in development a long time before what I asked, but we got a wide open snow map. The reason is I just personally really like open maps that you can explore. I like being able to walk north, south, east, west and have a little bit of a nose around, run into mobs, try and kite them, run into more mobs, try and kite them too, get myself killed. It's great fun, that's what an ARPG is all about. But I just really want to highlight that things are changing, and if you feel that the game is missing something, make your voice heard, because the developers do listen. Another really good example in terms of sort of visuals that have changed are the melee animations. I initially did a video talking about what's wrong with melee, why it looked really flat and boring and broken. You were just waving a sword around. There was no additional sound effects, there was no additional... well, there were sound effects, they were just very flimsy. Some of them still are. We'll cover that in another video. But there was no additional effects, special effects on top of weapons that showed you how wide the arc of your swing was going to be and where enemies would sort of take damage in an AoE. Now we're starting to see those slowly come in. They've not all been added yet, but the game has improved dramatically in terms of melee animations, especially with a more recent class, the Assassin. Things are looking pretty damn sexy with her melee attacks, although good luck using her. Melee in this game is pretty punishing still. But again, I'd emphasise that the game is still in development and balance is still being done. Small little disclaimer, while we're here, the developers are aware that the account levels are progressing incredibly slowly. It is something they're going to be changing. We are currently testing a brand new system for the leveling progress. It is not balanced. We are testing a brand new system. They will change the balancing of it. So you will probably progress quicker and get skill points a little bit quicker, not too far away in the distant future. Now the last couple of things that have also changed in terms of gameplay, because some of you might be thinking, yeah, I just don't like the actual core features of the game. Doesn't seem to work for me. Cover density. A girl has no cover in the old test. There was just no cover anywhere. You'd walk around and you'd be struggling to find a barrel to hide behind. Now, having a look at the maps, there is cover everywhere. When something gets destroyed, you've normally got another bit of cover quite near that you can back off to. And instead of backtracking and just running away and kiting, you can run back to a bit of cover, shoot a bit, run back to the next bit of cover, shoot a bit. It's a little bit more tactical and strategic than it used to be. Of course, some people will argue that the cover still gets melted far too quick from certain weapons, and I would agree with you. But again, guys, give them your feedback, they will make changes. And another effect that really influenced gameplay a little bit, enemy abilities. When we first saw these big plague-ridden, when we first saw these marauders, they didn't actually do anything, they just walked at you and slowly tried to hit you. It was quite dull. Now some of you might be thinking the elite system, it's a little bit dull because all elites are the same. Whoa, let's have a look at the roadmap. On the roadmap, the elite is getting a rework. If you haven't been following me for a little while, you may not have noticed that the developers are working at random skills to be applied to elites. So we're going to have the traditional elite combat system that we love in ARPGs, going up to one and finding out, this one's covered in flies, I can't go near him without taking damage. Oh, this elite runs a lot quicker. I don't know, this elite slows me down by something. There's going to be some different combat included. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it. Last thing that also was very nice to see was a lot of people felt that the looting system was very anticlimactic. You just pick up items when you exited the mission, you went back to the lobby and boom, you had all your items in one loot window. Now we have this sort of loot screen, which really sort of reminds me of Vermintide a little bit, where you're sort of rolling those dice, you're looking to see what you get, and you see one of them uncovered at a time with a sound effect. I think it still needs a little bit of polish, so when you get a relic, I'd love there to be a sound effect that says, boom, you've got a relic. But we'll just have to wait and see what they've done, but it has improved the sense of gathering gear quite dramatically, and it's made it a lot easier to sort of have a little overview of what you've got from that mission. But guys, I just really wanted to inspire you to give a bit of feedback and remind you the game is still in development. But I also wanted to encourage you that the game has changed a lot over the past few months. Every month there's been a reliable content drop, and every month going forward from here there will be a reliable content drop. What is in that content drop is on the roadmap, but what is in that content drop is also up to you and your feedback. Tell them what you think. Tell them what's working, tell them what's not working. Don't just leave a bad review. Anyway, I'll leave that for another time. Guys, have a great weekend. I hope the video's been helpful to you. I hope some of you are excited now to see the future of this game. Take care, have a great weekend, and remember, like and subscribe.